Sure.
Here's an intro in a style inspired by Jessica Warm, empowering, direct, and emotionally resonant, with a storytelling tone and a heartfelt energy that deeply connects with women. There comes a moment in every woman's life when she can feel something shifting deep within her spirit, not in loud declarations or dramatic signs, but in quiet, undeniable whispers of the soul. You start to notice things changing, not just around you, but within you. Your heart begins to outgrow your current space, your vision becomes clearer, and your spirit gets restless for more, for purpose, for alignment, for divine favor. Sis, this is not just another phase. This is preparation, when God is about to bless a woman with something big, not ordinary, not expected, but divinely designed. He doesn't just drop it in her lap, he sends signs, subtle, spiritual, sacred signs. And if you've been feeling like you're in a season of confusion, isolation, or transition, this message is for you. Today, we're going to talk about the 7 signs that reveal when God is getting ready to release something extraordinary in your life. Because when heaven is getting ready to move, your life will never feel the same again. There are moments in life when it feels like everything is falling apart. Relationships begin to drift, friends grow distant, and familiar places start to feel unfamiliar. At first glance, this disconnection can feel painful and confusing, but when a woman is on the brink of a divine blessing, what seems like loss is actually the beginning of alignment. God begins to remove the people, habits, and situations that are not meant to follow her into the next season. This disconnection is not a punishment, but a sign that elevation is near. Before he can pour something new into her life, he must first make room by clearing away the old. That detachment is his way of preparing her heart and surroundings for something greater than what she has ever experienced. Divine disconnection often starts subtly. Conversations that used to bring comfort suddenly feel draining. Events she once looked forward to no longer spark joy. She may begin to notice a sense of spiritual heaviness around certain people, as if her soul can sense something isn't right. She may even feel guilt for wanting to pull away, but deep within, she knows this space is necessary. Her spirit is being awakened to a higher frequency, and not everyone is willing or able to grow with her. When God is preparing a woman for something big, he will begin to reveal who is truly aligned with her purpose and who was only present for the chapter that's closing. This disconnection is not always about conflict or dramatic endings. Sometimes it's simply silence. People stop checking in. Opportunities seem to pause. It's in this silence that God speaks the loudest. He wants her to realize that her next blessing is too important to be surrounded by distractions. He wants her to focus, to listen, and to see clearly without the noise of unnecessary attachments. The absence of certain people gives her space to hear his voice more clearly. It's in that sacred space of disconnection that transformation begins. Often, divine disconnection includes a shedding of habits and mindsets as well. She may feel an urge to stop doing things that once felt normal, scrolling endlessly, gossiping, overcommitting, or tolerating environments that drain her. This isn't about judgment, it's about evolution. Her soul is being prepared for more, and more requires discipline. It requires her to release what no longer aligns with her future. She may feel resistance from those who don't understand this change, but that's part of the process. Growth threatens comfort zones, not just hers, but others too, and when God is about to elevate her, not everyone will celebrate her refinement. During this time, a woman might feel lonely, but she is never alone. The removal is intentional. The disconnection is divine. Even if it feels like abandonment, it's protection. God is setting boundaries where she once had none. He is positioning her for divine encounters that cannot happen while she's surrounded by confusion. The friendships that drift are not mistakes. They are answered prayers for alignment. The doors that close are not failures. They are redirections. The relationships that fade are not losses. They are revelations. Each disconnect is a signal, a sacred message that she is stepping into something bigger. She may find herself craving solitude, feeling peace in stillness, and no longer needing external validation. That shift is not random. It's a signal that she's starting to rely on God more than approval. It's a sign that her spirit recognizes the sacredness of her journey. Disconnection can hurt, especially when it comes with unanswered questions. But beneath the confusion lies clarity waiting to be revealed. As people, habits, and energies fall away, she begins to rise. Her vision sharpens, her strength deepens, and her steps become more intentional. She is being emptied not because she is unworthy, but because God is preparing to fill her life with something that aligns fully with who she's becoming. There comes a time in a woman's journey when she feels an inner tension that cannot be ignored. It's not anxiety, nor is it simple frustration. It's a holy discomfort. It arrives without warning and lingers like a whisper from deep within her spirit. She can't explain it to those around her because it's not tied to any specific event. Life may seem fine on the surface, yet she feels unsettled. This restlessness is not a problem to be solved. It's a signal that something greater is being stirred within her. When God is preparing to bless a woman with something big, He often allows her to feel uncomfortable in places where she once felt at home. This discomfort pushes her to grow, to question, to shift, and ultimately, to move toward what she was truly called for. The restlessness can show up in many ways. A job she once loved suddenly feels empty. A routine that once brought her peace now feels like a cage. The people she used to lean on may feel distant or no longer understand her. She may feel a strange dissatisfaction with everything she's built so far, as if her soul knows that this is no longer where she belongs. This is the moment God begins to nudge her toward more. But before the blessing comes the stretching, and before the stretching comes the stirring. Restlessness is often the first step toward divine realignment. It breaks the illusion of comfort and calls her to reevaluate where she is and where she's going. This discomfort isn't there to punish her, it's there to awaken her. It stirs her curiosity, it makes her ask deeper questions. Who am I becoming? What am I truly meant to do? What if there's something more than this? Those questions don't come from fear, they come from purpose. God knows that if she stays too comfortable, she might miss the opportunity to step into her calling. So He makes her current space feel tight, like a shell that no longer fits. That tightness is not a sign of failure, but of growth. She is expanding beyond what she once thought was enough. Her spirit is evolving, and her old patterns, routines, and environments can no longer contain her. This inner shift often causes her to feel misunderstood. Those around her may not see the internal war she's fighting. She may smile, perform, and continue her routines, but deep down, she knows something is changing. And while it may feel lonely, it is in this very season that she begins to rely more on divine guidance than external affirmation. The restlessness draws her closer to her Creator. She begins to pray with more intention, listen more closely, and seek meaning in places she never looked before. God uses this season to cultivate her trust, to teach her patience, and to deepen her wisdom. The restlessness isn't random, it's holy. During this time, she may feel pulled in new directions. Ideas may come to her in the middle of the night. Dreams she buried long ago may resurface. A desire to shift careers, move locations, launch a project, or start over may arise without logical explanation. That's because God is not bound by logic. He moves through faith. And restlessness is how He begins to loosen her grip on what's familiar, so she can embrace what's next. Her spirit already knows what her mind hasn't fully accepted. She's being called higher. She may notice her passions changing, her standards rising, and her tolerance for the unfulfilling fading. This discomfort is a divine catalyst. It's God's way of saying, I'm preparing you for something greater than you imagined. Her restlessness is the soil in which revelation is planted. It makes her seek, it makes her stretch, and eventually it makes her shift. The woman she is becoming is being born through this sacred unease. What once fit no longer serves her, what once satisfied no longer fulfills her, and though she may not yet see what's ahead, she knows something is coming. Her spirit can feel it before her eyes can see it. When God is preparing to bless a woman with something big, her life may begin to feel like a battlefield. Challenges intensify, obstacles multiply, and the weight she carries becomes heavier than ever before. This isn't coincidence, and it's not misfortune. It's divine preparation. Before the blessing arrives, there is a testing season. God doesn't test her to break her down, but to build her up, to stretch her faith, and to refine her character. These tests are not punishments, they are tools. Through trials, God molds her into the version of herself that is strong enough, wise enough, and ready enough to carry the blessing that's coming. The testing doesn't always come in the form of dramatic events. Sometimes it looks like delays that test her patience, silence that tests her trust, or closed doors that test her belief in purpose. She may find herself questioning her path, doubting her worth, or feeling like she's being overlooked. But each challenge is doing something intentional. It's revealing her resilience. God uses resistance as a form of spiritual training. Just like muscles grow under tension, her spirit strengthens under trials. She may not understand why everything feels harder, but something deep inside begins to awaken. She starts to recognize that what she's facing isn't meant to destroy her, but to teach her how to rise. In this season, she may feel emotionally and spiritually stretched. The people she used to rely on might suddenly withdraw. Opportunities she was counting on might vanish. Her plans may begin to unravel, and in the midst of the unraveling, she's asked to keep walking in faith. This is the test of obedience. Will she still believe when there's no evidence? Will she keep moving even when the path isn't clear? God allows this pressure because He's elevating her capacity. The weight she's carrying is not a sign of weakness. It's proof that she's being trusted with more. Often, the testing season feels lonely, not because she's truly alone, but because the journey she's on requires a level of spiritual focus that others may not understand. She may be tempted to retreat, to shrink, or to give up altogether. But even in her moments of doubt, something in her refuses to quit. That persistence is not her own strength. It's the strength God placed within her. Every trial she faces sharpens her vision. Every disappointment carves out space for discernment. Every setback forces her to tap into a deeper well of grace and grit. As the tests increase, so does her awareness. She starts to see that the things she used to tolerate no longer align with her spirit. She begins to walk differently, speak differently, and move with more intention. The testing isn't just about endurance, it's about transformation. God is stripping away everything false, temporary, and fragile. He's rebuilding her from the inside out, and though the process feels overwhelming, it is sacred. The fire she's walking through is refining her character. It's forging humility, patience, discipline, and strength. During this phase, she may also encounter spiritual attacks. Doubts, fears, and insecurities may rise like never before. The enemy often tries to discourage most when a woman is closest to her breakthrough. That spiritual warfare is not random, it's strategic. It confirms that she's stepping into something powerful. The bigger the blessing, the stronger the resistance, and that resistance is only confirmation that she's on the right path. God uses it to teach her how to pray deeper, fight smarter, and lean not on her own understanding, but on divine wisdom. She may not have all the answers. She may cry, question, and fall, but even through the mess, she is being shaped. The fire that surrounds her is not meant to consume her. It's meant to purify her, and the more she is tested, the more she uncovers the depth of who she truly is. What she learns in the struggle will become the foundation for the season of abundance ahead. Her scars will become stories, her lessons will become wisdom, and her journey will prepare her to carry the blessing with purpose, not pride. There is a moment in the journey toward divine transformation when clarity begins to rise, not from logic, but from deep within the spirit. It doesn't always come with fanfare or loud announcements. Often, it arrives quietly, in whispers, in sudden realizations, in the stillness of solitude. When God is preparing to bless a woman with something big, He often gives her the gift of unexpected clarity. It's not about seeing the full picture, but seeing enough to know that change is necessary. This clarity reveals what she has been ignoring, highlights what she needs to release, and brings focus to what truly matters. It allows her to recognize the areas of her life that have been clouded by distraction, noise, or fear. This kind of clarity isn't born from external success or approval. It doesn't wait for the perfect circumstances. It breaks through confusion, often in moments when she feels the most uncertain. God removes the fog, not all at once, but in layers. As each layer lifts, she begins to see more clearly what aligns with her spirit and what doesn't. Things that once seemed appealing no longer excite her. Paths she once chased no longer feel right. People she once looked up to may suddenly feel distant, not because they changed, but because she's starting to see with spiritual eyes instead of emotional ones. Clarity often shows up as conviction, a quiet but firm inner knowing that certain behaviors, relationships, or patterns must shift. It can feel sudden, like waking up and realizing she's been living someone else's life, or subtle, like an increasing discomfort with staying the same. She may look around at the life she built and realize it's time to rebuild, not because it was wrong, but because it was a foundation meant for who she was, not who she's becoming. This is not confusion, it's direction. It may not always make sense to others, but to her, it feels undeniable. With clarity comes courage. Once she sees the truth, she can no longer unsee it. Even if fear tries to hold her back, something stronger rises within her. The clearer she becomes, the bolder her decisions become. She begins to choose differently. She protects her peace more fiercely. She says no more easily. She walks away from situations that no longer reflect her worth. She no longer begs for love, chases validation, or settles for being almost seen. This clarity sharpens her discernment, allowing her to recognize who and what is truly for her and who never was. This clarity also brings with it a deeper sense of identity. She begins to understand herself in a way she never did before. She sees her patterns, her triggers, her strengths, and her blind spots. She stops running from herself and begins to embrace the fullness of who she is. This self-awareness becomes the key that unlocks a new level of purpose. She's no longer moving through life reacting to circumstances. She's moving with intention, led by vision, guided by faith. God didn't just clear her mind, He aligned her heart. In this phase, she may also receive divine downloads, sudden bursts of insight, inspiration, or strategy that come from seemingly nowhere. Ideas, solutions, or new directions appear with precision. These moments aren't coincidence, they are divine appointments. God is showing her what's next, one step at a time. She doesn't need to see the whole staircase to trust the direction. Clarity comes not only from within, but also through confirmation, signs, scripture, people, and moments that speak directly to what she's been sensing. Everything starts to feel connected, even the pain. She begins to understand why certain things had to happen the way they did. The struggle starts to make sense. The delays no longer feel like punishment, they feel like preparation. As she walks in this new awareness, she becomes more grounded. She's no longer easily shaken by opinions or setbacks. Her decisions flow from a place of peace, not pressure. She moves with clarity, and that clarity becomes her compass. The more she listens, the more direction she receives. It's not about knowing everything. It's about knowing enough to take the next right step. And each step she takes from this place of divine clarity brings her closer to the blessing that was always meant for her. There is a sacred season in a woman's life when the noise around her begins to fade, and silence becomes her closest companion. It is not loneliness in the way the world defines it. It is a divine calling into isolation. When God is about to bless a woman with something big, He often removes her from the distractions, the noise, and the constant motion of everyday life. He doesn't do this to punish her or make her feel forgotten, but to draw her nearer, to speak to her heart, and to align her soul with what's coming. Isolation is not rejection, it is redirection. It is an invitation to go deeper, to pause, and to prepare. During this time, she may notice that invitations stop coming, conversations become fewer, and connections she once held close begin to fade. Where she was once surrounded, she now finds herself alone. But it's in this solitude that she begins to hear differently. She begins to feel differently. She becomes more aware of the voice of God and the state of her own heart. The silence that once felt uncomfortable now becomes a mirror, revealing things within her that she hadn't noticed before. It's in the stillness that clarity emerges, healing begins, and transformation takes root. Isolation becomes the space where distractions are stripped away. The noise of others' opinions, the pressure to perform, the desire to be everything to everyone, it all falls quiet. In that quiet, she discovers who she really is. She begins to separate her identity from her titles, roles, and responsibilities. She starts to uncover the parts of herself that had been buried under years of busyness. It is a slow, sometimes painful process, but it is deeply necessary. God does some of his most powerful work in hidden places, and the season of isolation is his sacred workshop. She may feel misunderstood in this time. Others might question her distance, assume she's changed, or wonder why she's no longer as present. But her absence is not abandonment, it's alignment. She is being called inward, and when a woman is being drawn inward by God, it often looks like she's pulling away from the world. But in reality, she's drawing closer to the truth, to purpose, and to divine direction. The solitude becomes a cocoon where she is protected, nurtured, and reshaped. It is here that the old version of her begins to dissolve, and the woman she was destined to be starts to emerge. In isolation, she begins to hear God's voice more clearly. Without the constant chatter and chaos, she learns to distinguish divine whispers from worldly noise. She may begin to journal more, pray more deeply, reflect more honestly. Her relationship with herself and with God begins to strengthen. She becomes more sensitive to divine timing, more aware of spiritual alignment, and more attuned to what her soul truly needs. This is where she begins to see the vision for her life unfold in a new way. Ideas are birthed, wounds are healed, strength is restored. There's a quiet discipline that forms in this season. She learns to be okay with being alone, not because she wants to isolate forever, but because she now understands the value of being grounded before being seen. The solitude helps her release attachments that were draining her. It gives her space to forgive, to let go, to breathe, and most importantly, it gives her room to grow. There are lessons that can only be learned in silence. There are revelations that only come in the absence of applause. There are breakthroughs that require distance from what once felt comfortable. This period may last longer than she expected, but with each passing day, she feels a shift. Her spirit becomes stronger, her vision becomes clearer, and her steps become more intentional. She no longer moves out of fear or people pleasing. She moves with purpose, with discernment, and with divine direction. Isolation has refined her, not ruined her. It has prepared her to handle what's next with grace, focus, and strength. The world may not see what's happening in this quiet place, but heaven is watching closely. And what is being cultivated in this private season will soon be revealed in powerful, public ways.